Wait! Don't tell me! You want me to run down to the store and buy Mrs. Puff something she doesn't need, then you want me to run back here so you can say, "Arr, SpongeBob, and you're spending all me money." And then I'll say, "But Mr. Krabs, I'm only doing what you said." Then you'll say, "We're not talking about this or this, we're talking about this."
How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Pack Review, the video where I spend money on packs so you guys don't have to. And today it's going to be a controversial pack for this time around, since this pack is actually known to give one of the most OP, one of the most pay-to-win Spellements that I have known thus far in the game, which we'll get to that in a second. But pretty much the way these reviews work, I base the review based on 10k openings. I always start with pack openings because a lot of people tend to like to see the loot that comes from it. I then go over maybe some of the aesthetics if I got any, and then afterwards I'll go for, you know, talking about the general review. So we're talking about stats, we're talking about the Spellements this time around, we're talking about maybe some other things that might be really interesting that I would like to know. But pretty much that's the way it works, and we're gonna get started with the first pack opening. And for the pack that we'll be reviewing today will be the Islanders Spellemental pack, and I don't think I've mentioned that before, so I'll mention it now, and let's get started. So the limit is 10k, therefore we're gonna base this mostly on the 10k opening. And so far for the first pack opening, not that great. I'm not surprised because this is actually from a really old pack, and a lot of these older packs tend to have really terrible, whatchamacallit, they have fairly terrible like drops most of the time. We did get ourselves some thunder snakes. We only got one thunder snake for the Spellements, so these will include both the troll and thunder snake Spellements here as we keep opening more. I keep thinking this is a weapon, like in terms of like, you know, a wand, but they're not. It's actually just like a regular old housing item. So very common to give housing items, not necessarily a great sign. We get some tikis, we get some large shells. I'm not sure if these are rare or they're exclusive to the pack. Probably not. We did get ourselves the first troll Spellements though. How much did we get? Let's see. We only got one troll, which is unfortunate, but again, we got more pets, more housing items. Not that great overall, but we'll keep opening more as we get ourselves a, let's see, what is that? How much thunder snake? Another, just one thunder snake. So it seems like it doesn't necessarily give a lot of like in terms of the amounts in these Spellements. We also got ourselves our first hat, which I mean doesn't really look that great, but we'll keep opening. More house. Ooh, okay, we got the koi mount. I actually really like the fish mount. That's actually really cool. I think this is exclusive to this pack specifically. I really do want the surfboard though. The surfboard is actually really cool. So like, if anything, it'll be really nice to get the surfboard, but if I don't get it, that's fine. You know, we did get the fish at the very least, and that's actually kind of cool. Whoa, oh my god, this is like the second permanent mount. It's the hippogriff. That's kind of cool. Alright guys, and I am back, and we're just gonna go over slightly with the aesthetics. There really isn't much I want to talk about, honestly, because there really isn't much in this pack that I will say that I actually really love and enjoy. Keep in mind that this is a very outdated pack overall, but in terms of the gear, I mean, at least it looks kind of colorful. It's not necessarily my go-to type of gear at all, but it's at least somewhat unique, it's at least somewhat colorful, and unfortunately I was unable to get myself some wands or anything. But overall, it's just meh, you know, it's fine. It's unique at the very least, it's colorful. But the mounts itself are actually pretty cool. Like, I really do love this koi mount here. I think this fish is absolutely adorable. I've always wanted a fish as a mount, and here we are, a koi as a mount, which is really awesome. I was really hoping to get the summer board, but I mean, hey, I'll take a fish mount any day. We also got other fishes like the hippogriff, which is also a very adorable mount here with the little hippo. It's really nice. And we also have ourselves the Manta Ray, which I only got the rental of, but again, looks really cool. Does look kind of weird when I'm riding it though, like I'm just looking down at the Manta Ray instead of like, you know, looking straight and knowing where I'm going. So I'm guessing I'm relying on this ray to, you know, take me to where the tides turn. I mean, I'm not sure, but it's kind of weird looking, but at the same time, it's a cool mount. And in terms of stats, I mean, here's the stats. Very outdated gear, and I will remove my webcam. I'm not going to really do comparisons on this because it's not going to take a rocket scientist to realize this is extremely outdated gear. This is essentially gear that only has slight upgrades from its original form and just slap on a shadow rating, and it's not necessarily that special. I only got like 2 versions of the hat. Again, either or is not that special in my opinion. There's so many better options out there. In terms of the armor, this is the only armor I was able to obtain. Again, so many better options out there. And in terms of the wands, I didn't get anything for wands, but there is a wand that I got from Frost as a picture, and it was really cool. Like, it was an interesting wand, but at the same time, one could definitely make an argument that like the Sinbad's wand is way better than the wand that is going to be in comparison, which I will show a picture of it thanks to Frost. Again, shouts out to Frost for sending me this picture because it's actually a very interesting wand. I do think it's somewhat, you know, unique in its own way, but at the end of the day, I would rather have you guys go for Sinbad or maybe even go for Celestial wands from the new Celestium pack because they're just way better. And I don't think I got any exclusive pets. Most of it pretty much dealt with spiders. In terms of the loot, most of the housing items pretty much came from the bazaar, or you can probably get it through like maybe a Celestia vendors or Celestia crafting. Now, the main thing I really wanted to talk about is just like the Spellements really, because at the end of the day, gear is outdated. The quality of the pack is awful. It's mostly just housing items that you can get from either bazaar, maybe Celestia vendors or crafters. You know, you get rank 8 snacks, which is kind of nice, I guess, but like it doesn't necessarily save the pack from being awful. And I mean, that's about it. I mean, there really isn't much that's worth in this pack other than maybe the Spellements, and that's the main thing I want to talk about today, because this has definitely become an even bigger issue. And the reason why I don't even talk about this that often is because I just do not want to be the dead horse. Like, everyone knows that Spellements are extremely pay to win, and this is no different here in terms of like the Thunder Snake and the Troll Spellements. Now, for Thunder Snake, obviously it's through 2 different paths. Either you have it do, you know, a set amount of damage that's, you know, decent amount and more accuracy, or you could go the second path, which is same accuracy, but it has the potential to do more damage from low end and the high end. And personally, I recommend the second path. Obviously, as a storm, you need to do more damage as much as possible. You can definitely be fine with the 70 accuracy because there's ways to build up the accuracy that's fairly simple. And overall, you know, just damage is better for storm most of the time. The Troll Spellement is really what I want to talk about the most, and the reason for this is because the only reason there's going to be so much different purchases on this pack alone is mainly just because of how good the Troll Spellement is. As you can take a look here, you either have the first path where you can get a total of 250 damage, so basically like a 40 damage increase, I believe from both low end and the high end, or you can have it to where it's the same damage, but it summons up to a 2-pip minion. And I don't necessarily know how powerful the minion is. We're probably gonna guess that it's like a troll minion, and troll minions are pretty good, like overall. Even like a 2-pip is actually pretty good, but my issue really lies with how this is really just going to become an even more like pay to win thing. It's become a trend to where majority of the time, if you want the best of the best spells, you're gonna have to pay money, and there really isn't necessarily free to play options. When it comes to like Spellements starting off, it was just fine because you started off like, you know, Daybreaker, Nightbringer. You know, obviously you could have got yourself some Spellements through the Druids pack, but at the same time, you were able to get Spellements by just farming. You know, King Deertress is a very popular farming spot, and he also tends to give a decent amount of Spellements for Daybreaker and Nightbringer. And that was fine. And the reason why everyone loved it is because there's ways to get it for free, but if you want to do it a little faster, you can always pay just a little bit of money to get to where you need to be a little bit faster, which is fine. You know, I'm fine with that. But then it all started when after the Druids pack comes even more packs coming in, and this basically goes into, like, for example, Leprechaun. Now obviously now Leprechaun is fairly simple to get nowadays if you do events pretty often, since most of the time it's going to be for free, and that's fine. But now you're starting to see a trend where there's just so many different, like, Spellements for cards, like for example the Scorpion one where it gives a weakness, and there are some ways of farming it at the very least, but then there's also places like if you're trying to upgrade like Fire Elf, maybe even try to upgrade Ghoul. So far there isn't necessarily like a known option in order to obtain yourself some Spellements for free, and that's the main issue. And we all know that there was barely any effort put into this pack in general. There wasn't necessarily any effort in terms of the stats, just increased it a little bit from the last one, and it's, you know, there you go, good to go. And this pack wasn't necessarily meant to be good in stats anyway, but my main issue comes with the fact that they release new packs, and it's old packs, but they just kind of slap on a Spellement on it, and there you go, it's a new pack. It's only popular because there's just so many, like, you know, pay to win stuff like the Spellements that you see here, and this is going to be the only reason people are going to spend money is through the Spellements. And it's unfortunate because I just wish that somehow there was way more free to play options in order to obtain Spellements. A lot of people have suggested numerous amount of times that have certain bosses drop Spellements, that way these bosses can be pretty popular in order to drop them. Maybe even have it to where mobs have the potential to drop Spellements that are from a specific school. Like, for example, make elite mobs drop Spellements for free, at least a chance to drop them, and they have the pool within Spellements. And you wouldn't see many people angry over the fact that KingsIsle just keeps releasing different Spellement packs, but unfortunately that's not the case, and I'm very disappointed. Now, the reason why I don't necessarily talk about Spellements is because so many WizTubers talk about it every single time there's a new pack, and I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse at this point. But if you want to really know my opinion on that, it's pay to win. It's literally extremely pay to win. And when you first started, it was a cool concept. Like, okay, it's unfortunate we can't enchant TC anymore for these spells, but at the very least, we are able to have a chance to get better versions of these spells, and it might be better for the game in the long run. But as time keeps passing on, it just becomes more and more and even more pay to win, and it's starting to get to the point where I'm just tired of it. Like, when is it ever going to be a time to where KingsIsle needs to realize that we need to have more free to play options for this? We need to have more ways to obtain these kind of Spellements that are not necessarily just from bosses. We should really have something to where maybe elite mobs, any kind of elite mobs, can drop Spellements. They have a chance to drop Spellements. That way we're able to farm for these at some specific way. There just needs to be more free to play options. I don't mind if Spellement packs are a thing. What I do mind is that they focus only on the Spellement packs and nothing else. They don't focus on trying to make sure that it doesn't become a pay-to-win system. And unfortunately, that's not what they did. They made it a pay-to-win system. And I'm just disappointed. Overall, I'm giving this pack a 1. This is a terrible pack. I did not recommend anyone buying this pack at all. Even if you want the Spellements, they don't even come in a decent quantity. And it's just not worth. You're not really getting much worth from this pack at all. So that's it. I'm giving it a 1. It's just as bad as the Pharaoh's pack. If not, I might even have to say it's worse than the Pharaoh's pack. But that's just gonna be it for my review. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the rant, because that was mostly just me ranting about Spellements at this point. I'm just disappointed. I honestly think that KingsIsle should be able to do a lot better, especially when it comes to trying to prevent Spellements from becoming extremely pay to win, and they failed at it, and it's very disappointing. But hopefully you enjoyed, and as always, remember to stay frenzy. Peace.